Hey family, what's happening? Just thought I'd give you a quick update. So I'm back from my first chemo treatment in Mayo, and I'm exhausted. But I don't think it's from the chemo. I think it's just from the trip. Here we are with my beautiful daughter going to the Mayo Clinic. You're fired up, huh?
Excited.
She's my moral support. I can hear my voice is kind of jacked up, but that's the result of the amyloids attached to my whatever. And that's been happening for quite some time, but I didn't know what it is, and now I do. So anyway, I actually had a keynote talk, ironically, for Pfizer on Tuesday to their breast cancer division. So I left Monday night, flew to Phoenix, got up the next morning, and I had a keynote talk for Pfizer. It was their breast care division called Ibrance, and it was just so ironic. And they had all of their account specialists from across the country, about 220 people. And so it's really interesting because the theme of their presentation they wanted was really about opening up a new chapter. So as their sales professionals kind of going out into 2017, they're putting in some new philosophies and new best practices, and so they wanted to open up a new chapter and take their production to the next level. So I only had 45 minutes in that talk, and I thought I would share a little bit of my story. So I gave my first segment of my talk, and it was all about the psychology and how do you open up a new chapter, and where's your mindset need to be, and all those kind of things that I talked to business people about. And after I was finished, I just said, I'd like to share with you a little bit about my new chapter. And I gave him a real 5-minute story just about I hadn't been feeling well for a couple of years, and this, that, and the other, and told him what was going on. And I said I was leaving this presentation, getting picked up, and going to the airport and flying to Mayo for my first chemo treatment. And I told him the same thing I would tell business people is that the only way I'm going to win is to believe that it's going to happen. And my psychology is 80% of my success, just like it is of you believing you're to go out there and open up that new account or expand your territory. And anyway, I gave a little synopsis of what I was going through, and I think obviously they had some connection because they work with doctors and physicians and people who are dealing with breast cancer a lot, so they see a lot of suffering. So it was really interesting because I finished that segment, which was really about 5 minutes, and then I was just literally going into my next segment. So I said, and the next thing I'm going to talk about is, which I would typically do anyway, and all of a sudden they started getting up, and I got a standing ovation in the middle of my talk, which was really unsolicited and unexpected, and it was kind of awkward actually.
We think you have congestive heart failure. So I went back to my doctor in Vegas, and they do this cath, and you're looking all right, but we think you need to go to Mayo. So anyway, 1 week ago today, I was up in Mayo for 8 or 9 days, and I just came back last week. And on Tuesday, I was diagnosed with a blood disorder called amyloidosis. Does anybody know what that is by show of hands? A few people. It's a very, very rare and a not very nice blood disorder. And so here's what it is to keep it short. As you know, your bone marrow makes proteins, and these proteins don't get folded properly, and they go out into the bloodstream, and they attach themselves. They're non-biodegradable, they're non-perishable, so they just keep growing, and they attach themselves to your organs, your heart, your liver, your intestines, and they show signs of that disease. So when I'm going to the doctor, hey, you got congestive heart failure. I don't, but I've got those amyloid proteins that are in my heart and made my heart thicker so it doesn't pump as hard. So fast forward a year or two from today, they would say, oh, Mr. Lear, you're going to die, and it's congestive heart failure. It happens to people all over the world. And so I'm excited. It's a new chapter for me. After this talk, I walk out the door, I have a car picking me up, and I fly to Mayo for my first round of chemo and 6 hours of antibody infusion. And I'm excited about it because now I have an enemy that I know what it is. And you can fight that. Are you with me? Say yes.
Yes.
You can fight that. And when I just did this talk to you, this is not just a talk, this is stuff that I do. I believe in this. I was the #1 sales performer everywhere I went. I worked for Tony Robbins, and I was the #1 sales performer in the world for him. And maybe I had some talent, but it was more this. It was more my psychology and my belief that I could overcome anything. And if I believed in something, then I could get other people, influence other people to feel the same way. And so here I am today, and I'm excited about it because it's obviously a new chapter in my life. And I have zero doubt that I can beat it. And that's where it starts, along with good treatment. So I thought it was very interesting. Eric doesn't even know about this because it just happened on Tuesday. And so the fact that I was showing up here for Pfizer was really, really, really interesting to me. So thank you for listening to my story. I've never told it before, but I'm excited about the new challenge. And I, like you're going to crush your competition, I want to beat it as well. So, that was unexpected and I'm lost for words now. On what? Unsolicited, unexpected, and very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So the next thing we're going to talk about as we close this baby out, again, I can teach you a lot of things, but we're in here for a short time, and I want to give you some things you can use right now. So we're going to talk about...
But it was kind of cool as well. And then after I was done, I introduced the guy to come back up and close out the program, and I got another standing ovation, which happens about 50% of the time, but that's the first time ever that there was two in the same talk. And then I went back. What I typically do is I go back to the sound booth and I take off my lavalier mic and I'm giving it back to the production guys, and then they ended the program, and literally probably 150 of these 220 people literally came over there, and there was this big line coming around. Every one of them came and shook my hand. I was like, wow, thank you so much. We're praying for you. You can do it, man. And inspirational. So that was a really interesting experience for me, and one I sure didn't expect. So I took off directly from there and went to the airport, flew out and flew into Minneapolis, and then I had a car picking me up and taking me to Rochester. Checked in the hotel, and Zoe was already there waiting because she had taken a separate flight up there. So the next morning, I had some tests that I had to do on Wednesday. I did a heart MRI, and I did a urine test and a blood test, and then I had to go back and do a 24-hour urine study. So I had to take this big thing around, which I've done before. And then I went back to the lab again, the blood lab, and they took out like 15 vials of blood. Anyway, so I'm all jacked up. My arms are all bruised. So that was Wednesday, and Thursday was the chemo day. So 8:15 in the morning, the following morning, I had a meeting with the hematologist, the personal assistant for the hematologist, and she was just talking about the actual chemo treatment, about what it was and how it works. So I thought I'd share it with you for a couple of you who may be medically inclined us here. So it's the actual chemo treatment is called Cyborg-D is what it's called. And what that means is it's 3 particular aspects that they do. I don't think that's the right word, but it's there's pills that are called Cytoxan, and then there's an injection with this drug called bortezomib, more commonly referred to as Velcade, which is a subcutaneous injection into my abdomen. And then I take this steroid called dexamethasone. I take 5 of those pills, and that's considered one treatment. It's called Cyborg-D. So she went through that whole process with me, and then I have some other drugs that I take for supportive care, some antiviral to prevent shingles, and some anti-nausea if I ever need it. I don't think I will, but they gave it to me. So then, after that, I went to the hematology place, and they were just going over some other things with me, the study coordinator, because I'm in this trial, this trial with the double-blind trial with antibody infusion. So they were just going through all that stuff. And then at 11:30, I actually went to the oncology, the cancer treatment unit, it's always wacky to walk in there because you see all these people, man, a lot of sick people in there. So I don't feel I belong there. So it's just a weird feeling. So anyway, got in there, and then they gave me some. They walked in, said, "Here's what we're gonna do," and gave me some Tylenol and some Benadryl to prep me. They waited like 30 minutes, and so this whole process took like 5 hours. And then after that, they came in and took some blood and took an EKG for a baseline prior to the treatment. And then after that, they got the IV in there, and they did this antibody infusion, which the outcome or the goal is for these antibodies to go in there in my body and actually kill the amyloid proteins that have attached themselves to my heart and all my other organs and all those things. So, it's a double-blind study, so nobody really knows if I'm actually getting the antibodies or the placebo. But of course, you naturally need to believe that you're getting them, because that's half the battle. So of course I believe that I'm getting them, and I believe that they're healing me, and that's part of the psychological process that you need to do. So after that, what happened after that? Then they stuck an IV in me, a different IV. Well, same one actually. They took out I finished that process, and then they replaced the infusion with a saline solution. It was just dripping in there, and the recovery period was 90 minutes. So they put the saline solution there, just dripping for 90 minutes, as they called it, the recovery period. And during that 90 minutes, they came in and took 3 more blood samples and another EKG. And then after that, I took my 14 Cytoxin pills, which is one of the part of the treatment. And they came in and gave me the shot of Velcade into my abdomen. Then I took the steroids. So after that, we were done, and Zoe went out to dinner, had a great dinner, and then that was it. So it was really interesting. It was obviously my first experience, but I feel great. I don't expect to feel sick. I don't expect to feel tired. I just it's just something I went through. Then got up the next morning, which was today, 7 o'clock flight out of Rochester to Minneapolis, and then Minneapolis to Vegas. So I'm really tired, but I don't think it has anything to do with the chemotherapy. It's just the travel. So that's the update. Typically, I try to do these messages in 1-minute quick messages, so I can send them to you on their phone. But there's just a lot of info I thought you'd like to hear. And by the way, if you don't have an iPhone, you can't get a video longer than 1 minute to be texted to you. So I'm going to put this on YouTube and send you a link. So, and I'm down in my office, my new office, which used to be kind of a family game room for the kids, but it's downstairs, and I was not making the trip upstairs to my office very well. So I've been working from the kitchen table for about 3 or 4 months, which is could have been more productive. So I'm downstairs, and that's why there's no pictures on my wall. So next time you see me, we might have some decor. That's the update. So thanks for your love and support. Thanks for all your thoughts and prayers, and I'm continuing to expect to move through this process with no setbacks, and I assume, I'm not assuming, but I'm expecting to be healed and recovered. So anyway, thank you very much, and keep the prayers and all the good stuff coming.